Hello, everyone. Welcome. Rabbi Abe here. As promised, this is class 2 of 3 for meditations for sustenance and abundance. So today we're going to talk about another very special name, a Kabbalistic name. It's a mystical name. The thing is here, and I hope it's not too complicated, and you'll tell me in the comments or by email if there's you know more to understand here. But this particular name actually is connected somehow to the angel of death. Now, hold on to your hats, okay? Because the fact is that that force that we call angel of death is a force that uses the life force because he has no energy of his own. And that's the rule. Negativity has no power of its own. It only gets power from what we give it. That's how negativity operates. So when we fall into the trap, so we become reactive or we become angry or we, in whichever way, that we learn, we become reactive in life. Reactive means I don't harness the energy that's coming my way, even if it doesn't look good, right? I become insulted by what someone tells me. It's energy, okay? Judgment is energy. I cause it to become a negative thing. I know that might be difficult to understand, just I'm saying it, but it is that way. So energy is energy. It really depends on the vessel to how that energy becomes manifest. It's like saying electricity is no good or bad. So if electricity is good and it will run the refrigerator, but if you put your finger in the outlet, it's bad? No, it's not bad electricity. It's just the wrong vessel or an inability to handle the energy itself. So it appears to be now, and it acts as a negative. Yes, it can hurt. But the point is, energy is not good or bad. Good or bad depends on the vessel that reveals it in our life or, in other things. So, having said that, I hope that's somewhat clear. And obviously, there's a lot more to that. We're talking about the endless force of nourishment that is ever present. So it's always present. However, because of our own negative activity, we do create blockages. We create death within the life force. Now let me explain death. What is death? Death is not only, the obvious understanding of death, when a person ceases to live, it's also that, but death is anything that has a stoppage. It contains ending, okay? When something is, a relationship can die, okay? That means the relationship ceases to continue. Business can die. So if you follow the idea. So death is within things that were perhaps once alive, and now they may die. They may die. Why? Because there is a disconnect between the force that was nourishing it and the force that was receiving it. What we're going to speak about now is this name, which has the ability to restore the life force, the energy of nourishment, into what became dead, into the death force. And again, it will require a bit more explanation, but let me give you the name. Now the name here, and I'm holding it up, so I hope you can see it. And again, at the end of the video, you can, again, send me an email, and if you want this, I'll be happy to send it along to you at abe@rabbiabe.com. So this name is Samach Aleph Lamed. Now, I didn't have room to actually write the names of the letters, but it's, again, read my lips, Samech Aleph Lamed, the three Hebrew Aramaic letters. Now, this name is very similar to the name of an angel, which is called the angel of death. Now, we don't say the name because angels are forces, as you will see in the next video that I put out with the third meditation. I'm going to give you the name of the angel for sustenance itself. So you'll stay tuned for that. But before we get there, we need to understand this principle. So this name, it's Sam and El at the end. But we don't say the name because we don't want in any way, shape, or form to call that energy. So when we use a name, we call that energy. Very much the same way as if we use a person's name, we're calling the person. We're awakening their energy. We don't want to awaken that energy. But what you'll see, and I hope you can see it, the letters are almost the same except there are 4 letters and not 3. The additional letter, and it's highlighted, is we call the letter Mem. Mem. Now Mem has the M sound. And here it stands for Mavet. Mavet. The letter Mem stands for death. In Hebrew, Mavet means death. So it is written in the secret scriptures of the Kabbalah that when humankind, when we have accomplished our purpose collectively, when there's enough of a critical mass of energy, of positive energy, or of light, an awakening of spiritual light among enough people, we tip the scale and the angel of death dies, so to speak, meaning death no longer has the ability to control. In other words, it doesn't necessarily mean there is no death, but whereas today we don't appear to have control over death, it's the other way around, but we will have a say and we will be able to overcome death and no longer, again, and it doesn't necessarily mean for everyone, but no longer will death be incumbent, shall I say. Will it be an obligation on a person who is in that level of consciousness? Person won't have to die. That doesn't mean, again, it doesn't mean people won't die. There will be people who will die. People who are not connected to that consciousness will probably still be obliged to leave the world. But for the one who has reached and is part of that critical mass, the obligation of death will no longer be a part. Now, that's another process. So there are different names for it, the Messianic era, Mashiach, and so on. You know, we won't go into detail about that. But what will happen, what does that actually mean? That the name of that angel of death, which is 4 letters, the Mem, the letter Mem, the one that's highlighted here, I hope you can see it, will go out. The death will be removed from the angel of death. And what will remain is Samach Aleph Lamed, because this name without the mem is Samach Aleph Lamed. So the angel of death, which once took all the energy from negativity, now will become the ultimate source of nourishment. It's a very interesting idea, interesting paradox. You know, many years ago, Time magazine it had on its cover, it says, the immortality gene. And you know what they were discussing? You know what the immortality gene was? I'm talking maybe 28, 30 years ago, Time magazine. It was a cancer cell. Now think about that. Is that crazy? Immortality is concealed in the cancer cell. Why? Because after all, what is immortality? Immortality means continuation. It continues, it continues, continues. Well, what does a cancer cell do? That's what it does. Unfortunately, in cancer, it keeps going with mutated cells. But how would it be if it constantly produced healthy, normal, vital cells? We would never age. We would be able to, and according to Kabbalah, we would be able to choose. We would have more control over our health. We would be in control of our health. We may even be able to choose what age we'd like to be. I mean, you know, this sounds like, from future world, but these are in some of the secret writings. So whether we can conceive of that idea or not, it's a very interesting idea that many years ago they said immortality, the secret of immortality is in the thing that causes death among many, not all, among many. It's interesting that when many people who I know who have overcome cancer and sometimes very bad situations have gotten more life because they learned how to use it in a spiritual way and use that energy, and so therefore it became transformed for them, changed their life for the better. So again, consciousness is the 99% behind what our body does. After all, every emotion in our body affects our immune system. We know that on a medical, scientific level. So I don't want to go too much off on a tangent, but the point that I'm trying to hit home over here is the same name, which is the angel of death, becomes the angel of sustenance for the entire planet. And another clue here is the numerical value of this name, just like the Pei Aleph Yud that we talked about in the last video, the first name, is also 91 numerically, 91. And 91 is a code which represents the unification of the spiritual world, where spiritual light, the Creator's energy originates from there. That represents 26, or tetragrammaton, and the physical world of Shekhinah, which is represented by another name, Aleph Dalet Nun Yud, if you are familiar, which is 65. And when we put the two together, 26 and 65, we get 91. Now, you don't need to know that, okay? I don't want it to be too complicated. The point here is this name helps us to draw the source of sustenance from its origin, by taking it out of the negative frame that limits, and by creating no limitation within every thing that appears to be limited. Sustenance appears to be limited. We take out the death force and transform it to no limitation. Very powerful. Okay, I have the paper ready for you if you want. Again, email me at abe@rabbieabe.com. Like the video on YouTube, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe if you're not already subscribed, so you are notified when the next video comes out. The next video, again, we will be discussing the angel himself that governs sustenance in this world and how to utilize that to bring more sustenance and abundance into our lives. Remember, where your head is at, that's where you are at. All the best. Be blessed, everyone, and I will see you very soon on the next video. God bless.